Hi, welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. Another exciting show and definitely another exciting guest. Today, we're going to talk with one woman's outreach to bring awareness to a troubling situation that's happening here in our nursing home industry where elderlies are being taken advantage of, medical fraud, and all kind of things that should not be going on. Let's welcome to the studio, Miss Sommerville. How we doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for coming into the show. Why you bring into the show awareness of something that has been brought to your attention? Tell me a little bit about what just happened.
So it was actually around August of 2024. I started working in the facility in about July of 2024. And what had happened was I was dealing with a resident that was sexually harassing me. It began as words, and then it kind of changed to physical assault of the sexual nature.
You said a resident
Yes, a resident.
at a nursing home. Can you tell what the nursing home is?
The nursing home is a residential care facility for the elders in Southport, Indiana.
When you don't, I'm not laughing at you. I just find it crazy. I worked at a nursing home as an activities director, and I know some of them can be kind of crazy, but you have a senior citizen at this residence that's sexually harassing you?
Yes, is 55 a senior citizen?
No, he's still young. When you
Yeah.
say sexual harassment, how did all that even start?
Well, it just started when I began working in the nursing home. I believe one of the times he had, if you want me to go into detail.
Yeah, go into detail.
Well, he had, I believe that he was struggling to pass urine because he had a catheter in and he was laying in supine position. And I asked him if he was struggling. He told me yes, he was. And he said, press down on this. And I can only say so much, you know.
Keep the microphone to you.
I can only say so much without violating HIPAA, you know what I'm saying. But it turned out that what I was pressing down on was his reproductive organ and not where his bladder was. And I thought it was where his bladder was, but it was not. And I found that out from one of my coworkers. And also, he would touch me, poke and prod in areas that were my private areas. You know, I reported that to the staff on multiple occasions, and they would tell me that it was the resident's right to do such things. So it eventually ended up getting to the point where he would ask me if I reported it. And, you know, I would tell him no, because I really didn't think that it was his business if I reported how he was harassing me. And he told me what happens in his room stays in his room, and it is in between him and the aide that's assisting him. And that he told the other staff that he didn't give a damn, you know, so.
Without violating to the best of your ability, why was he there? Was this long-term care for him?
I do believe it's a long-term care facility. That's what I'm gonna
Okay,
say.
so he was there for long-term care.
I do believe so.
So I can't help me understand, how did he become, how does a man just all of a sudden just decide that he's going to poke you in inappropriate areas?
Well, I don't think that he overtly on that day or with me decided that he was going to poke me in certain areas. I think that it was something that was allowed, and by allowed I do mean tolerated and not interrupted by
So
staff.
you wasn't the only one that reported this situation.
No, not at all.
So it was going, other women were also being subjected to this one particular person, or was these multiple individuals?
I can speak on that one particular person. And yes, multiple people had similar situations that were similar in nature to what I was dealing with, to the point where that person was a two-person assist. And
Two-person assist mean that they needed to have somebody to document his behavior?
more than one person had to be in the room at one time is what I'll say. But it got to the point where he had disrespected so many people on the level that he had disrespected me, that there was never more than likely another person to come help on very little of the occasions that I was in there, was there another person that was actually willing to help me. There were people and aides that were available, but no one to really want to be there with
I
me.
want you to take a breath because I can see that this is still has an impact on you.
Oh yes.
And I appreciate you taking time to come in and let's call it what it is. Bring awareness, not a whistleblower, but to bring awareness to what's is going on right up under our noses. What I can't understand is how can a director, even though information was provided on this particular patient, and it's clear that he may or she may not be the only ones that have been doing this, that they haven't said anything or done anything to protect not even the staff, but the patients themselves.
It's not what they are supposed to do. That's what I'll say, and it's not what's legal to do. So
So you mean
neglect.
so
Yeah.
you mean to tell me I get it that they have rights, but the rights to violate somebody else's right, even if you're the caretaker, has its limitations. You're trying to tell me you guys basically don't have no limitations. They can do whatever the heck they want to do. They can touch you wherever they want to touch you, and they're protected.
Well, they went about as far as to say that to me, actually. They went about as far as to say that. They went about as far, not even about as far, but they did mention that we could call the police and that the police wouldn't do anything about it. You know, they said that to us, a group of aides on my shift, you know. And that's not even as deep as it gets as far as the abuse that was happening in the facility, because it seems like things like that are a pattern and not just a once off. You know what I'm saying? So as far as that resident being sexually aggressive towards the aides, there are residents in the facility that were being violated by other residents in the facility. And you know, the difference between me and the elders is that I can stand up for myself. A lot of the elders in facilities do not have people or family to stand up for them or to speak for them. So they get completely taken advantage of in situations like that.
And this just happened recently.
It began in August of 2024, is about when I was let go from the job, suspended from the job after having reported not only that, but reported a resident's abuse. They got rid of me within 15 minutes of 30 minutes of a resident reporting abuse to me.
You had to be able to read the documentations as why you was being released, correct?
Yes. Well, I asked for documentation while they were verbally suspending me, and they denied me documentation. One of the workers said that they had done that hundreds of times and that they didn't have to give me documentation, which that was a lie, but you know.
Okay, so this is my question, like, and I'm so sorry that took place. That should not have happened to you in any type of situation, regardless of jobs, especially in this situation where you're taking care of the elderly, and let's call it what it is. You still have rights that they will let you go and not provide you documentation. How many times did you report these things happening to the director? And when this is a two-part question. The second part of the question is, once you reported it to whoever your director was at that time, and you saw that enough time had elapsed and nothing was being done about it, did you have the option, or did they provide you additional resources to go over that person's head and go to the general managers?
I had reported it around 5 times before I actually reported it to the EEOC and stepped outside of the company because nothing was being done. And your second question, well, I never got additional resources from them. I believe that was your second question.
Yeah.
I had never gotten additional
So you
resources.
never went
from
above the
them.
director of the facility itself.
Well, listen. As I was speaking to my coworkers, which is completely legal, speaking to your coworkers about what's happening inside of the facility when it comes to your rights being violated, I was speaking to my coworkers, and I was also speaking to residents about what was happening to me. And the culture of the facility when it comes to sexual harassment. And they began telling me how there was another resident in 2022 named Patricia Noonan that had been raped and smothered to her death. She was an 85-year-old hospice patient.
Whoa,
Yeah.
wait a minute. An 85-year-old hospice patient, that means they're getting ready to die.
Oh, transitioning. Yes.
Yeah. And she was raped?
Raped and smothered to her death by a 45-year-old, Dwayne Freeman. He was a drunkard.
These were residents of the
Facility
that came from his room to another person's room, raped her, smothered her, and nothing was ever...
Oh, no, he's in prison. But here's the catch. He was threatening her, actually to assault her for days before he actually did it. And it's on record with the Indiana Department of Health, that the aides and the nurses that were around heard him threatening her for days, and none of them reported it to the Department of Health, which ended with this woman's murder, her rape and murder on top of that. So, and
how much information did this guy have on her? Did he know that she was in hospice?
Oh, he was just another resident there. He was a...
Did somebody provide him with additional information on the lady that he killed and raped?
Well, not that I know of. He had been threatening multiple women to sexually assault them. And even after, I believe, I'm not going to say even after, but I know sometime before he was threatening other women. It's in the Department of Health records.
Are some of these patients that are in these facilities, do they have mental issues?
Yes, and I want to get this little tab bit out here. There's an evaluation, called PASSAR, and what that evaluation does is it separates mentally ill people from elders that actually need palliative care or are transitioning. And the only loophole through the PASSAR evaluation is dementia and Alzheimer's. So what a doctor can do is diagnose someone with unspecified dementia and Alzheimer's, which is a load of crap, and I can say that. That's just my opinion. What they can do is diagnose someone with unspecified dementia and Alzheimer's, and it will keep that person who is actually mentally ill from going to a mental health facility where they
keep
need
them in
to
a
be,
facility like that.
and it would keep them more comfortable in a facility with actual elders who are being put in danger by the mentally ill people that are being put in facilities with the elders,
So we got doctors that are wrongfully or willfully violating certain acts to manipulate the system, so to speak.
I would call it manipulating the system, but actually, with it being a loophole, I couldn't necessarily say that it's legally a violation. If unspecified dementia and Alzheimer's is just the doctor saying they can't put a finger on it, it's up in the air. But would I say manipulating? Yes, definitely.
Let's go back to you real quick. You've been traumatized, true enough. Has anybody in the company reached out to you to even show an ounce of concern outside of the confidence of some of your coworkers? And have your coworkers stepped up to validate your story?
No. As far as my coworkers, it's not likely that I don't keep in contact with a lot of people. You know what I'm saying?
And it's less likely they're going to say anything because they don't want to lose their job.
No, they don't want to lose their job, and I took that.
Hold on 1 second. We got
Interference. Is it my microphone? Hello. I was feeling like maybe it was the air ducts and I should scoot up. Hello. So in addition to that, it's not still recording.
Yeah, we're going to edit. Okay. So it's unlikely that your coworkers are going to step up for fear of their own job, I assume, right?
Correct.
So you're basically fighting this battle not out of revenge. Let's get that straight for the listeners. You took your license and your schooling to help the elderly, and this is some shit that has been blindly overlooked at.
It's been so overlooked that, aside of myself, because I know you want to talk about me, and I care about myself, but as I said, the elders are the ones that don't have anyone to step in and defend them. So my concern has been with the elders, and my concern has been with the fact that I went through the Department of Health records, and as I said, as I said previously, they're legally required to notify the Department of Health and the police department when elder abuse or a report of elder abuse or a suspicion of elder abuse has happened. But why is it that when Barbara Gallen, and this is public record that I'm talking about, when Barbara Gallen reported that she was raped in 2024, they put on the IDO report that they sent to the Department of Health, IMPD notified, because I went into, once again, the Department of Health records. They put that they notified the IMPD on it. So, of course, I went to the IMPD public records and requested the report that it said that was there. And there was no report of her rape to the IMPD. All I got from the IMPD was a call for service, which is not a police report. It just says that a phone call was made. Dispatch was called, okay? And on the call for service report section, it said that the complainant called the police, and the complainant called the police and asked to speak to the staff herself, asked to speak to the police herself, but the staff interfered and said that they had already spoken to the police, but no cats to this address recently. So the woman that was raped, and she reported this rape to me verbally, she said that she hadn't spoken to the police. And the call for service report also said that she had spoken to the police. And not only that she hadn't spoken to the police, but that she tried and the staff interfered with it. So what that led me to do was look further into their IDO surveys and their IDO incident reports. And every time that I seen it said IMPD notified, I cross-referenced it to the IMPD's public records and used the names, dates, and times to search for the reports that, and you can bet I went through 10 of them just about that said IMPD notified. And I have a stamped and sealed document from the IMPD that says that they were not notified of any of that. And the big deal about that is that's up to a $200,000 fine for each time that they haven't reported the abuse that has been happening to the residents to the police. And in addition to that, the Department of Health survey, which comes back in response to the incident reports that the nursing home sends to the Department of Health, the surveys say no incidents related to the allegations cited when it comes to this woman's rape. So not only did the facility ignore it, the Department of Health also ignored it. In addition to that. So
what about her family?
Let me tell you this too. She recently passed away.
Mm-hmm.
You know who else recently passed away? Timothy. Can you edit that part out?
Yeah.
I found out that the resident that was sexually assaulting me also passed away.
Mysteriously.
Also mysteriously, the resident that had gotten reported rape to me, passed away. Mysteriously.
And what time frame from each other, roughly?
I believe that the resident that had assaulted me passed away earlier this year. The resident that was assaulted by another resident passed away. Maybe it's been a couple of months. I'm not too sure, but I know I've been searching for an obituary for her. I can't find an obituary for this. I can't find an obituary for her, so I'm not quite sure when she passed away. But, when she reported those things to me, she also reported that she had not had her medicine in 3 days. And I'm talking about narcotics, possibly. So she was having withdrawals from that. And, it's crazy. It really is. But
You mentioned fraud.
mm-hmm.
How was that linked to the deaths, to the things that's happened to you, to the misappropriation of the running of the care center itself?
Okay, so at the starting point, me reporting resident abuse as an aide, because that's what I was, a certified nurse aide. Me reporting resident abuse is not only my right as an aide, but it's what's expected to me. I can lose my license and my job for not reporting resident abuse or misappropriation, as you said. And the way that the Medicaid fraud comes in is that it is Medicaid fraud to abuse residents or neglect residents in a facility that accepts Medicaid as a form of payment for the residents that are staying there. So when you're telling me that residents are reporting abuse and you're reporting it to the Department of Health but not reporting it to the police when you're legally required to, or it's up to a $200,000 fine and your admission fees for the residents that come, that's Medicaid fraud, and up to $200,000 for one incident. So if I go through 60 surveys and I find 10, 2 times 10 is 20, so that would make it $2 million in possible Medicaid fraud fees.
That's crazy.
It is.
But let me ask a question before we wrap up. You're not the only one that does this for a living. So my question is, this can't be an isolated incident. So this is a hypothetical question. Why isn't other individuals that do what you do reporting this? And I'm going to tell you where I'm going with this, because I worked. Remember what I told you when you came on here? I also worked in a nursing home. I walked in as an activities director. So you know what activities director's job is.
Yes.
So my job is to know all the patients. I go to work early one night. No, I go in late one night just to do some paperwork and decided to check on some of the guests. I saw a lady sitting in her feces. She was standing, and I would never, when you see some shit, you don't forget it. That was my last impression outside of the guy crying the day I left. This lady was sitting, her door was open, and she was sitting facing the window. And I was like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "No." And she was sitting in her own feces. Third shift, and the third shift people were just sitting there. And I said, "Do you not see her button going off?" That changed my whole concept. And I'm thinking to myself, I could never put my family in this, because these people are trained, and on third shift, they can give a fuck thing. So I'm not saying I don't agree with you. What I'm asking is, and this is hypothetical, how many other women or people that have your degree and your knowledge is turning the blind side to what they see to keep dollars coming in, to keep in their job, and to not bring this to light?
The majority, and it's over fear. It's a fear tactic. You keep everybody in line. You keep the money flowing and going how you want it to. And I mean, that's not okay with me, because I'm worried about the people, and I think if they would worry more about the people, then it would create more revenue for themselves. But people are so locked down on the way they know things to be, even when it's wrong. So I mean, just, the answer to that, the money. And no, the majority of people turn a blind eye to it because they have families to feed at the end of the day. And that's what it is.
How does your family, you have children?
Yes.
How does your family feel about you taking a stand against what you've witnessed at your job? Is your life in danger? Have people come at you by saying, be quiet?
Yes, they have. Is my life in danger? No, I'm protected by the best. I'm not the one that's in danger.
I'm surprised that the news media on a higher level haven't approached you about the stuff that's going on. You said recently that the facility has already taken action to protect themselves by changing their whole identity now. It's almost like a chapter 11.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we don't know what you're talking about. We have a
Oh.
whole new staff here, and unfortunately the people in question are no longer here mysteriously.
Right. Mysteriously. Yeah, they have. They took the step to change their name, and that's okay. That's fine, and I hope that they change a lot of things with it. But as far as the situations that have happened in the past, those have to be reconciled, and I hope that they've made the best of changes. But from what I've been hearing, no. I mean,
What are you doing now for yourself? And I'm sorry that all this is taking place for you. It takes courage to come on the show. We'll do whatever we can on our end to make sure that your message is given out. But at the end of the day, you really want to help senior citizens, you for the voiceless of this community and around the world, because this isn't a one and done situation. What do you expect to get out of this?
I expect them to change. And if not, I'm just going to be quite honest about what my wishes are for this situation. I feel like that building in itself has a lot of energy within it and around it, and I would like to see it not be there at the end of the day. And and if Communicare has other companies, I just wish to see them, treat people the way that they would want their families treated.
When you mention Communicare, that's a large conglomerate of nursing homes and nursing facilities. You're a one woman fighting against a lot of people. I'm really surprised they're not trying to work with you to say, hey, let's work together as a team. We see you care about these people, but nobody from that organization has even reached out to you.
Outside of the civil lawsuit that I've got going on, no. I have a court date actually, and it is February the 22nd of 2027. They did attempt to get the case dismissed I had against them. The judge, in response to their motion to dismiss, told them that he would go throughout the case and look in the case and then have a response. And about a week and a half after the judge said that, the judge came back with a final court date for them. So sounds like good news for me, but that's pretty much what I'm being patient for, is that moment, because
how was this messing with you mentally? Like, how is your mental state right now, knowing everything that you've gone through? I can hear in your voice the passion, even though you've been assaulted and that guy's no longer here. You've been violated. How is your emotional state right now, dealing with so much?
Oh, I'm infuriated. I can tell you that. And I'm also very unhappy that the person that assaulted me is passed away, because I can't say what that was actually from. I can say how I feel, and I'm sure how I feel about that and what I think. But, that person was full of energy, and it might not have been energy that was positive, but he was full of energy. So I would have liked to see that person be in the right facility to get the right care, not gone, because that's just awful weird to me. The woman that had gotten raped is also gone. That is infuriating, to say the least of words.
Thank you so much for taking time to come on. For the people that would be listening to this and they want to help you out, you don't have to give out your everything. Is there an email address that people can contact you that might be able to help you, or have been in the same situation, or that can help rally your cause?
Okay. So my email address is going to be SommervilleKeandra@yahoo.com. That's going to be SommervilleKeandra@yahoo. And my Facebook is my name twice. So Keandra, the exact same spelling as my email.
Thank you so much for taking time to come on the show.
No problem.
We're going to definitely try to get this out. We wish you the best. Stay strong. I like the fact that you got that beast mindset, and that more importantly, that you're taking a stance even during adversity. I'm sorry that you had all these things happen to you, but at the end of the day, remember, when it rains, the sun eventually comes out. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you reach out to her. If you know somebody that's been in that situation and you got some information that can help her to make a difference in other people's lives in these nursing homes, you guys make sure you reach out. This has been another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Crayton Show.